Today, we are out here comparing two beautiful pistols. My brand new Springfield Ronin 9mm 1911 and the CZ Shadow 2, which I just recently did a video on. These are both single action 9mm all steel pistols. So let's see which one we like better. 1911. I'm impressed. CZ Shadow. God, they're both good. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Today, we're comparing two very good pistols. The CZ Shadow 2, single action only version, and the Springfield Ronin 1911 in 9mm. So these two pistols have a lot in common. They're both all steel, single action, 9mm hammer fired pistols. So which one do I like better? Which one do you like better? Let me know in the comments. Before we get started, as I always do, I want to thank everyone that has subscribed, commented, shared, liked, joined Patreon, or used my Amazon affiliate links. You guys are absolutely awesome. So these pistols both have amazing single action triggers, and they're both very soft shooting, being heavy steel pistols chambered in 9mm. The one major difference that's obvious is capacity. 1911 is a single stack. At least with 9mm, you get 10 rounds in the magazine. With the CZ Shadow 2, especially with this base plate, I get 22. CZ. $19.11. God, I love them both. Alright, so I'm pretty excited about this video. If you guys watched my video on the CZ Shadow 2, you will know that I was very impressed with this pistol. This is on loan from a friend of mine, Kaylin. I want to thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And this is my brand new 1911. I sold my Springfield Mil-Spec 1911 along with another pistol of mine, my Ruger Security 9, in order to afford this. And for the price of two pistols, I was able to afford one because this is a highly upgraded 1911 compared to the Mil-Spec that I had. And we'll go into all that. Actually, there will be a video introducing and reviewing this pistol that comes out, I think, before this one. So you guys might already be familiar with this before today's video. But the reason that we are comparing these two pistols is because they really do have a lot in common. Like I said in the intro, they are both full-size guns. They are both all-metal guns. They both have really good single-action triggers. They're both hammer-fired, and they're both chambered in 9mm. So there's a lot going on here that's similar, and that's why I wanted to compare the two. Something about shooting 9mm out of a full-size all-metal gun makes for a very soft shooting gun, and that's true for both of these. So which one do I like better? Well, let's get into the details on both of these real quick. We'll go up close and take a look at them. So, like I said, these pistols have a lot in common. They're very similar in size, very similar in weight, although the CZ feels a little heavier to me. They both are single action, so they have manual safeties. And I gotta say that the one on the 1911 feels a little more positive of a click on and off safe than the CZ Shadow 2 does. But the Shadow 2 is ambidextrous, whereas the Springfield Ronin is not. Now, as far as the slides go, they both have front and rear cocking serrations, but the 1911 is easier to grip onto. And that's just because of the design. 1911 has a little bit more of a traditional design as far as the slide rails go, whereas the CZ Shadow 2, if you look in there, the rails are kind of like reversed. They're like internal rails, which really makes for a very smooth gun, but the slide ends up being much smaller in this dimension. You just see how much bigger this thing is to grab onto than this is. And that is something that's important. It's just a lot easier to grab and rack this 1911 than it is with this CZ. Now, you can obviously get perfectly used to this and it works just fine. But something to be aware of, the 1911 slide does seem easier to manipulate. But because of that difference in slide height, the CZ I think might have a little bit lower of a bore axis. Maybe not by much actually. The CZ has a much bigger trigger guard, obviously, so if you're shooting with like gloved hands, that's going to be easier than it is with the 1911. Now, as far as the triggers go, they are both single action, so they both have fantastic triggers. Let's check out the trigger on the 1911. Very little take up. Oh, breaks like glass. No over travel. Short reset. Break. That's a really, really nice trigger. Now, the trigger on the CZ, whoops, it almost feels, you can see there how light it is. I just pulled right through it. Like a two-stage trigger. So you have your first stage take-up, a little longer take-up than the 1911. It is a lighter trigger pull, though, in that second stage where the break is, where that wall is. It is a little bit lighter than the 1911. Yep, absolutely lighter. But the CZ is a hinge trigger design where the 1911 is a straight pull to the rear. I've always loved 1911 triggers, but that's also one of the reasons I love this CZ. Even though the trigger design is different, it's still single action and still very, very, very good. So, as far as the rest of the controls go, 1911s fit my hand very well. They both have a nice beaver tail. It's very comfortable. You can get your hand into either one of them really well. 1911, as is traditional, has the beaver tail safety, but this one is the enhanced one, so it's almost impossible not to actuate it as long as you have a decent grip on the gun. As far as getting your magazine release, I don't have to change my grip at all to actuate the one on the 1911. On the CZ, same thing. Don't have to adjust my grip whatsoever. Now, as far as for the safety, same thing. 1911s, I always have felt like the slide release is a little bit far for my size hands, but again, I can actuate it just fine without adjusting my grip. CZ, let's see about that one. Yep, can actuate that without really adjusting my grip either. So both of them have great controls. They both are very, very comfortable guns. Yeah, they both feel fantastic. I've always loved the grip angle and the feel of a 1911. But man, I gotta say, the CZ feels a little bit more full in your hand, which is a nice feeling. They both are very sturdy feeling. Now, one thing though, the CZ has the 25 lines per inch checkering on the front strap and the back strap. and it's got these aluminum grip panels that have really good texture on them. This Springfield Ronin right here, it has the checkering on the back strap, which is very nice, flat mainspring housing, but a smooth front strap. Now, that has not caused me any problems yet, but I could see how under recoil, it wouldn't be quite as grippy. Although, we'll talk about recoil in a minute. This being a 9mm, the recoil is so negligible, it almost doesn't matter. If it was a 45 cal 1911, I would definitely want that front strap checkering. The sights on these, so the CZ has a blacked out rear with a fiber optic front sight. The fiber optic isn't in this one. I believe the owner of this pistol just uses it so much that probably came out at some point. This one also has the fiber optic front and it picks up light very well, but instead of a blacked out rear, it's got more of a 3-dot setup. The nice thing about this, though, is the shape of the rear sight on this 1911 makes for one-handed manipulation. You could rack that slide off, your boot or your belt or anything else for that matter. Now, let's go back up top and talk about the way these two guns shoot. But before that, I do want to talk about capacity, because one area where the CZ beats the 1911 is in capacity. As is traditional with the 1911, it is single stack. Being that it's in 9mm rather than 45, at least you get 10 rounds instead of just 7 or 8. That's a nice thing. But this one, the CZ Shadow 2, especially with this extended base plate, you get 22 rounds. So literally double the capacity in the Shadow 2 as you get in the Springfield Ronin. Now let's go back up top and finish out the video. So when it came to shooting these, I shot the Shadow 2 first because I had this on loan before I even bought this 1911. And this Shadow 2 had me extremely impressed. It shoots very soft. Recoil is minimal. It's very flat shooting. Stays on target. You can shoot it really quickly and still be extremely accurate with it. And that's due to a lot of things. The fantastic single action trigger, which is extremely light. The reciprocating mass of the lower slide is a lot less than on most other guns, but you also have the heavy weight of an all metal frame, which also helps keep the muzzle down and just keeps you on target quicker. All that combined with a really great sight picture and a long sight radius, being that it's a full-size 5-inch barrel gun, makes for a really, really easy pistol to shoot extremely well. So I've shot a lot in 1911s, but they've all been in 45 cal before this. Not all of them, most of them, at least the ones I've owned. And so I was expecting the CZ to beat the 1911 as far as shooting it goes. But I'm not so sure that's the case. I took the 1911 out right afterward, and this is my first real experience shooting a full-size 1911 in 9mm, and this thing was extremely soft shooting. Again, just like the CZ Shadow 2, very light single action trigger. It does have a bigger slide, which would mean more reciprocating mass, but I didn't really notice that. With the weight of this 1911 and it shooting the 9mm cartridge, I was really surprised how soft shooting it was compared to something like this, which is a 1911 full size. They're pretty much the exact same size gun. Very, very similar. This gun, you notice the recoil in the 45 ACP. In the 9mm version, it's like shooting a BB gun. Honestly, I was so surprised at how soft shooting this thing was. I could shoot it just as accurately and probably just as fast as the Shadow 2. Now, that shouldn't come as much of a surprise. This Shadow 2 is like a $1,200–$1,300 pistol. And that's a lot of money for a pistol, but you get a lot of pistol for your money. This, in my opinion, this is worth every penny. This is a great gun. This Springfield Ronin wasn't quite $1,200 or $1,300, but after buying 2 Wilson Combat magazines to go with it, it was $1,100 to get this and 2 magazines. It was about $1,000 with the tax to pay for this pistol. And again, I feel like it's totally worth it. $1,000 is a lot of money for a pistol, especially considering my mil-spec 1911 that I used to have was about a $700 pistol. So I was really hoping that that extra $300 would be worth it. And I really feel like it was. It has a lot of upgrades compared to that. But also, when I finally took it out to the range, I took it out like 2 hours after I bought it. This thing is just so easy to shoot well. It stays on target. Recoil is so minimal. And it just shoots so soft. I am, again, very impressed with this gun as well. So, which one do I like better? That is a hard choice. I gotta give it to the CZ in as far as capacity goes. I like capacity. You know, this carries 22 in the mag, 1 in the chamber, 23 rounds. This is a 10+1, so you get 11 rounds with it. So half as many rounds as you get with this. And capacity to me is a big deal. But I'm also used to 1911s only having 7 or 8 rounds. So getting 10+1 to me is an upgrade compared to a 1911 and 45 ACP. But when it comes to capacity, the Shadow 2 beats out the 1911. It's just the way it is. When it comes to ergonomics, that is a toss-up, and it's probably going to depend on your body mechanics. They both feel really good. They're both solid pistols that feel great. The Shadow 2, you don't have to worry about engaging a grip safety like you do with a 1911, but they both have a really nice beaver tail and a really good feel in the hand. They're both heavy guns. And they both shoot really easily, really accurately, and really quickly. I do like the safety a little bit better on the 1911. You just have a little bit more of a positive click on and off safe than you do with the Shadow 2. So as far as the manual safety goes, 1911 beats it. Now, when it comes to shooting it, you all might be surprised because this is a very soft shooting gun, but this Springfield Ronin is an even softer shooting gun. I was surprised how little this thing recoiled. It honestly blew me away. So, being that this one is on loan from a friend, and this one I paid for with my own money, had to sell 2 of my guns in order to afford this one, I'm very glad that I actually really liked shooting this one, especially when compared with something that is already so impressive as far as the shooting experience went. These are both really, really good guns. If you're a 1911 person and you like the ergonomics and the feel of a 1911, I would definitely go with this one and save a couple $100 versus this. But if you would rather have something from the Czech Republic than something made in the USA, this is a fine piece of machinery. And this CZ Shadow 2, I think, is worth every penny. So far, I am extremely happy with this 1911. It's a major upgrade from the mil-spec that I had before. Yeah, this thing is sweet. And let's fire off the last ammo we brought today with the CZ Shadow 2. Beautiful. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it, mainly because I got to go out and shoot 2 amazing guns. I am very happy with this purchase, and I really appreciate you, Kaylin, for loaning me the CZ. These are both very, very, very good pistols, and you will not be unhappy with either one if you're in the market for a big single action 9mm. These are both fantastic pistols. Before we go, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe, ring that bell, like, comment, share. Let me know what you like better. Are you a 1911 person? Or are you more of a CZ75, Shootout 2 kind of guy or gal? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think. Also, check out my Amazon affiliate links down below. I will link to maybe some holsters, maybe some kind of accessories or something that go with these pistols. But literally, if you click on that link, any other regular shopping that you would do on Amazon within the next 24 hours gives the channel a little kickback, helps pay for things like new guns, like ammo to go to the range, everything else that it costs to run a channel, and is greatly appreciated. I've also got a Patreon link down below. If you want to join the Patreon family, that is the easiest way to support the channel. So I really appreciate you guys. Can't wait to see you again next week. Stay strapped or get clapped.